Two things keep coming through. One was like a heavy, wet blanket. And then I ran into a slug, 2 slugs. It could have been the same one, I guess. It was this just massive, fat slug. I'd never seen one that big. And, they move so fucking slow, and then they leave this gross slime in their wake. And I did see it yesterday going across the pathway, and I saw another one now going across the same pathway. So maybe it is that fucking slow, which would make sense for what was coming through with both of these. It's like somebody's going to come to you that I think they really do love you, right? To the best of their ability, their capacity, right? As much as they love themselves. We've talked about this in depth, but that is the problem. They don't. I do always question even putting these out, because it came through, and I'm only giving you through my eyes, my perspective, my feeling, and my understanding of what's coming through. And so it definitely couldn't match the love I have for myself. And it definitely wasn't as strong as me in that sense. Like, it wasn't strong in its truth. And so, again, it's like, so you always have to bear all these. Okay, let's just spit it out. We'll try to get to a general here. It's like somebody who loves you very much, again, to the best of their ability, comes to you, and I guess they want to, offer you something or be with you. It felt like be with you. And I recall my response being something along like, you're not strong enough to be with me. You weigh me down. You're too much of a wet blanket. And, that's just not right. That's just not fair to me. It's not right to put that weight on me, that guilt, that shame, that blame, that weight, that heaviness, that stuckness, it's like your lower emotions, your problems, your fears, it's less than, right? Like your emotions, all your shit you haven't gone through, because you need to go through that. I don't need to go through that with you, right? Don't weigh me down. I've already done my part, and again and again and again. That's what it felt like. It felt like, you know what? No. It's like, do the honorable thing. Not just for yourself, but for me too, and it's like, don't come back until it's done, but don't come back. Like, hopefully, like the mismatch was incredible. And again, it did feel like they were coming from a good place. And they were, yes, moving so fucking slow, like a slug, right? It was painful. It was painfully slow. I mean, the mismatch between you and this person is incredible. And yet there does seem to be love there. Like, you just seem to have a tremendous amount of compassion, and specifically for this person. So I think this person. And, it did almost seem unfair that they unburdened you with the fact that they wanted to be with you, knowing that they couldn't match you. They couldn't meet you where you were at, And so you would be taking the less than, you would be settling, you would be bending down, you would be going down, you would be dimming down in an attempt to pull them up. But God, we've talked about that in depth. Oof, that is risky business. Because it doesn't seem like a momentarily thing. It's certainly, they're so fucking slow, right? Like, this is not what was coming through. This is why it's so, like, you got to be careful with all this. You have to just know yourself. It just felt like who this person was. Like, I don't know if they just have the idea of a tremendous amount of karma, meaning they haven't loved themselves, so they have to figure it out. They have to learn those lessons. They have to eat through that. They have to figure it out. If they're just an emu, right? Like, wah, wah. That's what it felt like, just this wah, wah. And so we tend to feel sad for them, right? Like, it is sad, but they have to do the work. They have to dig deep. They have to figure it out. They have to find ways to love themselves. They have to take programs. They have to, whatever they need to do until they can get back inside of them and start hearing themselves and loving themselves and telling themselves the correct thing. Or do trauma bonds, right? I mean, maybe they'll match up with somebody else who is that not loving themselves, and then they can sulk together, right? Like, this is like, I don't even know what these general messages are, but they have come through and continually come through, which means I need to get it out. I don't know, maybe it's the reminder to always love and honor oneself first. It's not mean to do that. It's not. And the reason I point that out is because I often have done that. That was major lessons for me to learn, was I continuously dimmed my own light. I continuously bent down. I continuously folded and bent it into pretzels to please others, but not please myself. Do you see what I'm saying? And it wasn't necessarily, it really wasn't, a lot of it wasn't to get them to like me. It was because I felt bad for them. But that's not right. Right? Like, that's seeing them as pathetic and weak. And even though on the flat surface they're coming off as pathetic and weak, that's not honoring them. Honoring them would see them as strong and capable, because they are, and not cementing in the lie that they're already telling themselves. They're already telling themselves that they're incapable, they're weak, they're pathetic, and that's why they're presenting themselves as such. And so if you bend down and be like, oh, Les, let me help you because you are weak and pathetic, you're cementing in that lie. So to help them untangle that lie is to let them see the truth. They're totally capable and competent. If they want to feel better, they have to do the work of telling themselves the correct thing and stop buying into the bullshit. Stop repeating the lie. Stop telling themselves they're not good enough, they're not worthy, they're not lovable. That means they have to figure out, why the fuck are they telling themselves that? Why is that the dominant pattern? Why is that the fallback? Why do they keep proving that correct? What is inherently going on inside of them that they continue to call that in? What lesson aren't they learning? Where aren't they honoring themselves, loving themselves, standing up for themselves, standing in their integrity, doing what they believe is true and good and right for them? Because every time they don't do that, it is the idea of getting karma. It is the idea of dimming down. Right? It's like every time they don't speak up for themselves or somebody else when they're in that position, and instead they recoil, they're shy, they're timid, they let stuff go by, they're going to get karma for that, because that's not what their higher self would do. Their higher self would stand up for themselves. Their higher self would stand up for the other person who's not there. They would speak highly. They would, it's like you have to have your own set of morals and code of ethics, and you do, whether you realize it or not. And whether they're right for you or not, you have them. But you have to determine, are they right for you or not? Are they honoring you? Are they helping you? Are they uplifting you? Are they getting you to where you want to go? And if they're not, you have to untangle them. And this person who's coming in like so sluggish and so slow and so sad sappish is clearly holding a boatload of bullshit that he has to eat through. He has to face those fears. He has to untangle those knots. He has to input the correct information. And that takes time and effort and consistency and willing to do the work and figuring out what does work for him, And so, yeah, they're giving the imagery of like babying, right? Like, I mean, I know I sure the fuck don't want a baby to raise as a partner, right? Like, but some women do. Some women want to mother and baby their partner, their husband, their spouse. They like to smother them and lead them on a leash. And a lot of men like to be led on a leash. And this is why it's like, to each your own, right? To find your perfect match. And this is why I said it's also careful, because it comes through for me to see as well. And so I'm only giving you my perception, my viewpoint, right? And what I believe is my truth, what honors me, right? So it's like, that would not honor me. And I've done that, right? And it's seeing the potential in another, but you can't do that. It slows down your own progress. It doesn't honor you. It doesn't meet you where you're at, so you can hold hands and fly together and continue to grow and learn and expand. It's putting your life on hold, on pause, hoping, wishing, praying, waiting for them to catch up, but they might never, right? Or they might surpass you, but you have to decide what you're willing to accept, tolerate, what's honoring you, what isn't. Like, these are all individual questions. This is why really nobody can answer your questions except for you. You have to decide how you want your life to look and feel. And what feels good for you, it could be very different for me. Like I said, I mean, some people really, truly, actually not only want to be let on a leash, they like to be let on a leash. It feels good for them to give away all their power and have no thought process at all, right? So it's... it's to each their own. And some people can't hold their own power. They can't. They can't comprehend it, right? They can't fathom it mentally. They're not mentally mature enough or sharp enough. Some aren't emotionally mature or sharp enough, right? It's like both sides have to be healed and whole and strengthened and grown to stand in one's full power. And again, that takes time and consistency and effort in the sense that you desire that, so you're going to work towards it. Yet if you don't desire that, then you won't receive that. But that's not a bad thing. You're saying you don't desire that. So then, good, you won't get it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's always all up to us. And we'll get what our strongest, truest desire is. The dominant focus, the dominant belief, the dominant whatever. But again, when you continually get what you claim you don't want, then you better take a look at what the fuck is going on and why you're getting what you're claiming you don't want, even though that's what you're calling in. That's what you're mirroring. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, well, where do I need to make a change? What am I telling myself? What am I believing? What's going on with inside of me? Where am I lying to myself? Where am I limiting myself? Where am I keeping myself stuck and stagnant? And so then we can choose. In other words, sometimes you'll see the answer and you'll be like, oh, I don't want to do that. Here's a really good example they're giving. It's like, I've shared with you before, like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I want to meet new people. I want to socialize more and I want to whatever. And at the same time, I'll be like, but I don't want to get up and do it. Okay, well then it's not going to happen, right? Like I have to make that change. I have to make the change if I want to see the change. Otherwise, it's not going to change. So even when you see it, you still have to put forth that effort to make that change. You can't just see it and then be like, oh, okay. Well, no, if you don't make the change, you're going to continue calling in what you don't want. It sometimes does seem like it sucks, right? Where it's like, oh, this is hard work. It can be because we're dominant in the old way, but we've claimed we don't like the old way. So yes, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill to make the new way that you claim you do want more dominant. But you might climb that hill, make it more dominant, and decide, I don't like this either. So you could be like me, where you're forever changing until you can find your sweet spot. And that's really all life is anyway. We're constantly redefining. We're constantly learning how to communicate our own needs, wants, desires more clearly with ourselves, with the universe, to reflect it outwardly. Okay, but they're showing, but it's so important that we discover it, on our own, our truth, right? Yeah, how do I say this? It's like so many times people they are continuously steered by the exterior, right? They are continuously led by others telling them what they want. Think about that. That's really the truth. Why do you want something? Oh, well, because that's the new dominant trend. That's the coolest thing. That's the way to be. That's the place to go. Right? It's like, okay, so that's not what you want. What you want is to be seen as the coolest, the best, the trendiest, the now, the immediate, the top of the whatever. That's what you're looking for. Right? So it's like you have to know your truth. And if that's your truth and that's really all you desire, then that's really all you'll get. And then you might finally get to the place where you get bored of that or recognize that's shallow. That's not deep enough for you. But that's just maturity, right? And so you're going to get whatever it is wherever you're vibrating at, right? And yet, if your vibration is deeper or higher, same difference, it's not going to be determined by anything outside yourself. It's going to be determined by what's going on inside yourself. And so that can be more challenging at times because it is such a blank canvas for you to truly decide, because you're no longer limiting yourself to just what is seen. And so to conjure up something completely new out of thin air can be more challenging. But for some of us, that's the excitement of it, right? That challenge is part of the excitement versus the same old, same old. And it is risky, right? Like that's a chance you take. But if you're bored and you've done the other, you're willing to take it because that's what you're asking for. Something new, fresh, different. And you haven't seen it, discovered it, understood it. It's a blank canvas. You're not being influenced by those or that outside yourself, and you're really choosing on your own without limits, can be freeing and exciting. Yet, again, that's a choice. That's all. All right, I don't know how we got all the way there, but I started off with, it was, what was it, 2 slugs and a wet blanket. Right, well, so I guess if you choose that, then that's what you choose, and that's where you'll stay stuck with the slug and the wet blanket, right? Or you can choose you and continue on your path. Oh, they're showing, and maybe you'll circle back around and that slug will still be crossing the street. That's really funny. I don't know if you remember in the beginning I had said that could be the same slug because it was there yesterday crossing the pathway. And it could have been the same one that was still crossing the pathway today, all this more than 24 hours later. So, you might live an entire lifetime and circle back and that slug still hasn't even got across the damn pathway. So you have to choose. Do you want to waste an entire lifetime going slow across that pathway with that slug? Or do you want to go live your life? And maybe you'll cross paths with it again. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.